Well, it is the shutdown showdown that won't seem to go away, all because Congress can't agree on a spending bill. We are T-minus 4 hours to an official government shutdown. It will be the first time since 1996, when the last Democrat president was in office, Bill Clinton. Over the weekend, House Republicans passed a bill that would fund the government until December 15th, but would also delay the implementation of the Affordable Care Act by a year. And it would also repeal the medical device tax that funds the health care law. Now, on the Senate side, Democrats stripped the Obamacare delay from the bill when they met this afternoon around 2 and then volleyed it right back to the House. Now, the House is in the process of voting for the bill as we speak, with Obamacare defunding back in it. When that is passed, then it will go back to the Senate again, where it will be dead upon arrival. Are you as dizzy about this as I am? Well, that's why we have RT political commentator Sam Sachs to break this all down. Sam, we are, as I said, less than 4 hours out here. Is this inevitable?
It appears so at this point. After the Senate passed their clean spending resolution and sent it back to the House, there was a small sliver of a chance that we might avert a government shutdown. And that was if moderate Republicans who didn't think this was worth the fight, who didn't think it was worth shutting down the government to defund Obamacare, would join with Democrats, defeat whatever whatever they're voting on now, this new spending resolution that again delays Obamacare. If they would have joined together to defeat it, we could have seen a government shutdown averted. But they didn't get the votes, and the moderate Republicans decided not to rebel against their own caucus, so they got rank and file behind John Boehner. And now, as you mentioned, they're in the process of passing another continuing resolution bill that delays Obamacare, which was just defeated in the Senate, and they're going to ping-pong it right back to the Senate. And here we have less than 4 hours. The Senate's not going to accept this. We're headed for a government shutdown. That's unfortunate, and as you say, it just keeps going back and forth, round and round. This little carousel of government shutdown goes. But how long do you anticipate this government shutdown lasting for? Is there any indication? That's a good question. I mean, when this happened in the 90s, it lasted a few days to a week. How long will this one last? Unclear. This is seems to be a very committed Republican Tea Party caucus that's dead set on doing something about Obamacare. But here's the thing. Last time the government shut down in the 90s, Republicans got shellacked for it. They got blamed big time for it. Unfortunately for the Republicans, not many of them remember that because not many of them are still serving in Congress. Only about a third of the Senate is still serving, that served back when the government shut down in the 90s, and only about a fifth of the House. So they don't know the sort of backlash they might get when the government shuts down, when workers start getting furloughed, when the museums close and tourism goes down and all this stuff starts compounding. So you can imagine a scenario in a few days when Speaker of the House John Boehner, after the government shutdown, all the polls are coming in blaming Republicans, and he goes back to his Tea Party caucus and he says, look guys, we did what we threatened we were going to do. We were shut down the government, and now we're still no closer to defunding Obamacare. How long are we going to continue this? And at that point, you can say that the pressure is going to build too much, and they're going to have to agree with the Senate and pass some sort of spending resolution. So it really is just a poker game in this case. But at the press conference today, President Obama made it clear that the Affordable Care Act was passed by both sides of Congress. It was upheld by the Supreme Court. It was not voted on for repeal in the November elections. So at what point will Republicans say that enough is enough? I mean, this is pretty unprecedented. When we're talking about continuous spending bill, the debate should be over spending, over levels of spending. And that debate's been won by Republicans. The Democrats have conceded the levels of spending on this bill. It's much lower than Democrats want. It includes the sequester. The Republicans have won the spending debate, but they want to keep the fight going with this Obamacare fight as well. And that's a fight that they're not going to win. Democrats are not going to stand for that. They can take the spending fight, win it, and walk away and move on to the next battle, but they don't seem like they want to do that. At the same time, Sam, this strategy has been working for Republicans in recent history. Why would they not do this? Well, that's a good point. I mean, this is the 7th budget battle we've had, and we've seen that with Republicans, when they go and they force the issue on things like defunding Planned Parenthood, in this case, defunding Obamacare, whatever this periphery issue they usually attach to spending, it's a distraction to where Democrats will latch onto that issue, say, no, we're going to keep Planned Parenthood clinics open. Meanwhile, Republicans are secretly just, or not so secretly, just pushing their austerity agenda and getting austerity spending bill after austerity spending bill passed. And here they're doing it again. We're going to get an austerity spending bill out of all of this. It's just a matter of when Republicans are going to accept a victory here.
At the same time, it can't fall solely with the Republican Party. The blame can't. President Obama just called John Boehner and Mitch McConnell today. If that phone call was perhaps made earlier, would that have avoided this at all?
I don't think so. I mean, I get it that there needs to be some sort of, hey, look, Congress is dysfunctional. It has a 14% approval rating. Democrats are a lot to blame for that, as well as Republicans. But what more are Democrats supposed to do in this fight? They've given Republicans ground on spending. They've given everything they wanted. They're not going to, President Obama is not going to repeal a law that's now named after him, basically. That's a bit loopy for Republicans to think that they're going to get away with that.
And that is why we have you to come in here and break all this down. Sam Sachs, political commentator, thank you for enlightening us all on this dizzying back and forth.
Thanks, Meghan.